Welcome to the big show. I think we're on. Welcome to the big show. And of course, the big show brought to you every day about 5 o'clock. We try and break down whatever it is that's going on in the land of the world of the Steelers. And of course, anything else that we can come up with respect to the world of Pittsburgh sports. We're brought to you by FanDuel Casino. Of course, we'd like to thank FanDuel Casino for sponsoring us, and we'd like to thank everybody else who is always a part of this podcast. I am maybe a day late, but who knows about this whole situation with respect to Big Ben and James Harrison and Joey Porter Jr. However, I do believe that there's something that we have to discuss because I haven't gotten a chance to discuss it yesterday. I was sick, and so today I'm going to try and get through this podcast as best I can. We are now basically in a place where there is what I would call a family feud type situation going on, right? With respect to the Steelers, former Steelers that are arguing with each other and talking to each other and calling each other different kinds of names. Well, of course, it's mostly Joey Porter Sr. who is doing a lot of this discussion, and he's a guy that's really out there just doing everything in his power to nuke Ben Roethlisberger, I guess. I don't know. But here's the thing, okay? When it comes to Ben Roethlisberger, I don't think there's anybody out there who doesn't know or doesn't understand that Ben Roethlisberger was not a good teammate. For the most part, he just wasn't. It's very well documented, the number of different guys that he alienated. If you talk to players from his era, you talk to players that that lived or that played with him from that era. You know what? Most of them, a lot of them will tell you he was aloof in the locker room. His job wasn't necessarily, his job wasn't necessarily to be, friends with everybody, was it? And he wasn't. He was a guy that just went about his business. When he was young, obviously, he was really kind of a jerk. I think it is just basically one of those things where he was immature, did not handle things the right way, certainly didn't handle things the right way. And as a result of not handling things the right way, he basically got himself into all kinds of problems and trouble and everything else. So to me, when you look at it from that standpoint, he did what he had to do. He was a guy who basically did what he had to do. He was a guy who basically, just got it done on the field, but off the field, he was a jerk. And, again, I don't think that anyone cares. Really, I don't. This is one of those things where it's the off season, and right now there's not a lot to talk about with respect to the Steelers. And as a result, Joey Porter pops off, says some stupid things, and it becomes a story. Now, I'll tell you this. I kind of believe that when you look at the entire big picture, I tend to side with James Harrison and Ben Roethlisberger, mostly because those are two guys that are ex-athletes who seemingly don't have any fear of telling the truth and saying the things that they want to say. And, like James Harrison, he wasn't necessarily wrong when he talked about Mike Tomlin. Ben Roethlisberger wasn't necessarily wrong when he talked about Mike Tomlin. They were just honest. And we're talking about being upset because guys are honest. That's silly. At least if you ask me, it's silly. So I just don't know, what the fuss is here. Joey Porter obviously opened a can of worms, said some really inflammatory things about James Harrison, and I get what he's saying when he says that Bill Cowher cut you 2 or 3 times and Mike Tomlin didn't. But by the same token, James Harrison did the work to become the player that he was. It's not like Mike Tomlin made him the player he was. I mean, James Harrison did the work clearly as a guy that spent $150,000, $200,000 a year on his body. His workout is, his workouts are legendary. His weight training is legendary and all that other stuff. So, I mean, I just feel like it's one of those things where you look at the entire big picture. I think Ben Roethlisberger and James Harrison were not out of line at all in anything they said. I think Joey Porter just is shooting off his mouth like he likes to. And again, I also think that when you're Joey Porter, maybe you should not shoot off your mouth so much because you've got some dirty laundry in your background, and there are some things that the Steelers had to cover you up for. So to me, all of this really comes down to this last point I'm going to make, which is all of these athletes in their podcasts, I don't necessarily subscribe to the idea that more is better. I just don't. And the one thing that you find is these athletes have media relations guys who save them from themselves. And when they don't have that layer and they just basically can sit there and say whatever they want to say, they generally say a lot of stupid things. Let's go to Florida, talk to our good friend Jason Mackey. Jason, I know you're down there covering the Pirates. We'll get to that in a few minutes, but I'm sure you've seen this quote-unquote drama between Joey Porter, James Harrison, and Ben Roethlisberger. My thoughts are, Joey Porter probably should not be the one shooting off his mouth about what other guys are doing or what they weren't doing. And also, we're going back 10, 15 years now. Do we really need to do this? So what is your thoughts?
It makes me glad I'm covering baseball, Paul. That's what my thoughts are. Not that the Pirates don't have their frustrations or people don't get mad about them. Was Ben Roethlisberger the best teammate, the most beloved person in Pittsburgh sports? Absolutely not. He had his warts, and so did Joey Porter. I don't see the point in airing something like that. Like you played with the guy, you won games with the guy, you competed with the guy. Like, I don't know. My understanding of being a part of teams is that sort of like, that stays amongst you. You don't need to air that in public. Ben Roethlisberger didn't really violate trust. I mean, he's on sort of the media side now. He's entitled to his opinion, and he's full of, as as anybody. You can believe that. Like, I don't think when you shared a locker room with the guy, when you competed with the guy and been, part of, you've sort of signed that document of trust, so to speak. I don't think you should be out there bashing the guy. I don't think, I don't know. I don't think Ben ever says anything in a show that violates that. I mean, you can disagree with Ben's opinions, but I mean, when you go to battle with another player like that, I feel like, you probably shouldn't throw him under the bus.
Right.
In perpetuity. Like there's no scenario for that where that's a good idea. No,
I agree with you. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing to me is just, it just doesn't, I don't know who it serves well. I don't know that really does anybody any good. And, I also say if Cam Hayward really wanted to stop it, he could have, and he didn't. So maybe he was trying to get a message out too. I don't know. I'll be interested to see. I'm sure Ben will have his podcast, and Ben is usually pretty good at doing the passive-aggressive thing in response, where he will make it seem like he doesn't care or didn't hear or whatever.
He's never done that, Paul. What are you talking about?
But then he'll have, chapter and verse, so he'll be able to recite everything that just went on. So you are down, and pitchers and catchers are reporting. Baseball is officially back. And of course, the number one question people have, are the Pirates better this year than they were last year? Let's start there.
I mean, the lineup's better. On paper, they're better. I would venture that between the lines, they're going to be better too. It would hard to be worse given the talent they have and how little they produced last season. That's a conversation I've had a lot with people. Their lineup is just night and day. I was talking to somebody this morning. Just imagine what they had last year and now what it's going to be this year, regardless of how you align some of the pieces. But I mean, adding Ozuna, Lau, O'Hearn, getting the best version of Spencer Horwitz, Jake Mangum, I think, is going to play a pretty big role in this team. They're probably not done at third base. I wouldn't be surprised to see them do something else there. It's not going to be the biggest move in the world, but I think they'll add to it in some way. Better years from O'Neal Cruz, Brian Reynolds. It's a much better lineup, man. This better be a better team. The Pirates have signaled some things to us, I think. I think we're at a point where it's not necessarily about development, getting better, whatever. I mean, you got to win. The pressure is on. It's been long enough. It's been too long. We should have been here last year or even the year before. But they're a better team. Expectations have changed. Vibes are different. They're unlike anything I've experienced down here. And I've covered some stuff where, they sort of thought they were ready, but you look around and you have some question marks about how you're going to fill out a lineup. There's no question marks right now about how they're going to fill out a lineup. The only question marks is, who leads off? How do you best constitute a 3-4-5, something like that? Like, you have enough professional hitters here.
So let's start. Is catcher going to be Joey Bart again, and Joey Bart and Hank Davis again?
I don't think so, Paul. I mean, I think Henry Davis. I know Henry Davis is going to be in there in some form or fashion. That's pretty safe. Last year, he caught Paul Skeens, Bubba Chandler, Mitch Keller pretty much exclusively. Joey Bart only really caught the other guys plus Braxton Ashcraft. Joey Bart, I talked to Joey Bart this morning, and he's really done a lot of work on his defense and knows he needs to improve it. He wasn't happy with the year he had last year, but I lump Joey Bart in with the possible third base trade. If they're going to go out there peddling an asset, which they have, and try to not give up the farm, anything like that, I think Joey Bart has some trade value. Still makes sense for them to explore that. So catching, I'm going to go with Henry Davis for sure. Joey Bart's a maybe, depending on what he gets them. I'll probably look at Rafael Flores and Endy Rodriguez as your tandem in AAA to start. If they hit, they'll earn a spot. But I think Henry Davis is going to be your primary guy.
You have your first baseman is going to be Horwitz. Are there other guys that will, aid him there?
Yeah, so Horwitz is going to get the majority of time. He's a left-handed bat, hits right-handed pitching very well. Against left-handed pitching, they probably will go with Ryan O'Hearn there. Ryan O'Hearn is otherwise going to be their starting left fielder. I should say starting right fielder. I sort of suspect them to flip Brian Reynolds and put Brian Reynolds back in left. He's a slightly better defender than Ryan O'Hearn, though neither one really set the world on fire last year. But Spencer Horwitz, yes, we'll see the majority of time at first base. When he's not playing there, you're going to see Ryan O'Hearn. And there's maybe an outside chance that if Bart's on the team, they try to get him some reps at first base. I don't think that's terribly likely, but it's going to be a lot of Horwitz.
Yeah, so there you have that. I mean, to me, he's obviously going to be one more year removed from his injuries and whatnot, and so hopefully he gets better. Brandon Lowe they brought in. Do you like that acquisition? Do you think that helps at second base?
I do, Paul. I do a lot. Some people have tweeted at me or emailed or, just general questions about what does this do to Nick Gonzalez? And frankly, I like Nick Gonzalez a lot as a player, but I don't care what it does to Nick Gonzalez. Brandon Lowe is a significant upgrade. It was also in their offseason. It was the one move, trading for Brandon Lowe, Jake Mangum, and Mason Montgomery, that sort of opened up the door for everything else. Ryan O'Hearn cited that as something that caught his attention. But, I haven't looked at Lau's stats in a little bit, man. But, 785 OPS last year, 31 home runs, topped out at 39 homers in 2021, two-time All-Star. That is a legitimate major league power bat. And it's going to play at PNC Park, one would think. So they're going from a guy in Gonzalez who had a sub-700 OPS to somebody with 230-plus homer seasons. And still, very much in the prime of his career. So Lau should be absolutely a major league caliber hitter, adding some pop to the lineup. You'd hope he hits 260, 270. I know it's a different era of Major League Baseball. Probably nobody on this team is going to hit 300, but definitely adds some important pop.
So the big question is, Conor Griffin, will he start the season up with a big team, or is he going to, go down and they'll play that game for however long they have to play it before they bring him up?
Paul, I don't think they're going to play the Super 2 game with him. I don't. I think this has a couple possible outcomes. One is Conor Griffin just being the best available shortstop, and if he is, I think they're going to give him the opportunity to play. They're telling us with the rest of their moves that they want to win. So if you're going to keep Conor Griffin down based on Super 2, I mean, that's silly. And I don't expect them to do that. Another possible outcome, and I've gotten asked about this a lot too, does he sign a long-term extension? And if he signs a long-term extension, it renders all of that moot. He's just under contract and, who cares about service time and all that stuff. So, I mean, now is the time that those conversations happen. I mean, not like today or tomorrow, but I don't know, maybe in a couple weeks, something like that. And if they're able to come together on an extension, some comps there would be like Jackson Chourio from the Milwaukee Brewers signed one, Roman Anthony from the Boston Red Sox. He's probably a better comp than Chourio at this point. But, if they're able to extend Conor Griffin, yeah, he's going to be on the opening day roster. The other thing I look at is if Conor Griffin shows he's ready, if he has a really good spring, I don't think they're going to stop him. That happened with Jared Jones in 2024. He pitched the lights out down here, and he earned a spot on the club. If Conor Griffin does that, I fully expect them to keep him on the team too.
Does Jared Triolo and Nick Gonzalez, is that who is going to be battling at third, or what's going to happen with Nick Gonzalez if Conor Griffin is brought up?
Yeah, so, I mean, I probably bumped out of a spot, honestly, Paul. And the other factor is whether they bring in a third baseman, make a trade for one that's still, very much active for Ben Cherington. If you look at third base options, Jared Triolo is a far better play there. He's been almost a 7 WAR player in 3 years. I know he hasn't hit much, but that's pretty good. Nick Gonzalez, he's been basically replacement level for 3 years. He's nowhere close to that impact. And if we're going to talk about defense specifically at third base, that's Jared Triolo by a mile. So, I mean, if Conor Griffin takes over shortstop, that bumps out Nick Gonzalez from a middle infield spot. It would be Griffin and Lau up the middle. It's probably Triolo at third or a new guy. And if they sign a new guy, Jared Triolo is going to be your bench guy. He's going to be an infielder who bounces all around, which is fine. He's capable defensively. I think that's probably the best role on the team for him, is a fill-in guy and can just kind of play anywhere. But, man, I don't really see a regular role for Nick Gonzalez on the team at this point. If he's included in a trade, maybe that's an option. But I don't see where he fits right now.
Okay. So the outfield, what are we looking at? Reynolds, O'Neill, Cruz, and O'Hearn. Is that what we're looking at?
Yeah, pretty much. And Reynolds has played right recently. I expect them to move him to left, move O'Hearn to right. Of those two, O'Hearn's the lesser defender. There's some concerns there for sure. And this was complicated by them bringing in Marcell Ozuna to DH. That means to get O'Hearn's bat in the lineup, you got Horwitz at first, and so you have to play him in the outfield. It's not ideal. He's never played more than 50 games in the outfield in a season, but he's also one of their best hitters. You need his bat in the lineup. You need to score runs. So the way I expect that to go, Paul, is you just put him in right field and pray and hope that nothing's hit out that way or that nothing is too terribly complicated. Talked to Brian Reynolds about his defense a couple weeks ago, just after Pirates Fest. He was actually happy with it down the stretch last year. So I guess Don Kelly showed him some readiness movement stuff, which was kind of odd, but he said he felt a lot better about it. His throwing program's been going well. And Reynolds has played left before. You don't need a ton from him. You certainly need him to hit more. And O'Neill Cruz at this point, he's your center fielder. For better or worse, they're going to give him an opportunity to play. So that's what I expect to see most days. It'll be interesting to see what else they do in the outfield. Jake Mangum is one of the guys. He's going to be in the mix. He's like their, I would say, third and a half outfielder. I'll give credit to Colin Beasley for coining that term. I like it. It's a fourth outfielder who's going to play a pretty good amount. He's the speedy guy, hit almost 300 last year with Tampa, stole nearly 30 bags. A fun player, good energy guy. And beyond that, I don't know. I don't know if they keep another outfielder, but it would probably be Jack Sawinski or the guy they traded for early in the offseason, Joe Stinson Garcia, otherwise known as the Password.
Yeah, the Password. I was going to ask you, where does he fit in?
Yeah, I mean, I think he goes to AAA, Paul. And why I say that is he's a young guy. He's only played just a little bit in the major leagues. The Pirates don't have regular playing time to give him. And if you're going to stick somebody on the bench, they're probably better off sticking Jack Sawinski on the bench. I know people are going to disagree with that. It seems like the mere mention of Jack Sawinski makes people swear and shake and throw things. But Justinson Garcia is, very recently a top 100 prospect. There's a lot of upside there. And until they have regular reps to give him, probably the best thing they can do is keep him in the minors and let him play and develop and, be honing his game, because I still think there's some upside there for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing to me is just, see what they can continue to build in their minor league system. I've heard a lot about their pitching staff, Jason. First of all, Jared Jones probably is not till halfway through the season, correct?
Correct. Yeah, they put him on the 60-day IL last night. That starts on opening day, so he'll be out at least 60 days. May, June is what I've heard. June's probably a more likely target given the sensitivity of the injury. It's an elbow thing. It's not Tommy John. They call it like a internal brace procedure, but I mean, not insignificant elbow.
Right. So there's that. And then, to me, so you've got Skeens and Mitch Keller, obviously, as your 1 and your 2. Is it going to be Ashcraft and is Harrington going to be in there? Is Bubba Chandler? I mean, what's the back 3 spots going to be?
Yeah, Chandler's in the rotation, Paul. I wrote about him today. He looked really good. He faced Conor Griffin in live at bats. I mean, he's pumping 100 past him. Conor Griffin's no slouch. And right. Bubba looked really good last year. His numbers are kind of skewed. Like, you can look at the ERA. I think it was like 4, but he gave up 9 runs in 2 2/3 in 1 outing, where it was just terrible for him. It was the only time he threw to Joey Bart. That was an issue. When he threw to Henry Davis, he was lights out. So anyway, Bubba, I think he walked 4, struck out 31. He put up some really good numbers. I fully expect him to be in the rotation. I fully expect him to be really good. So Skeens, Keller, Bubba, Braxton Ashcraft, and their 5th starter's kind of TBD at this point, man. I'd like to see him go out and get somebody to bolster their depth. Tyler Anderson, a former Pirate, somebody who's out there. Patrick Corbin is another veteran lefty. They might be able to help. They brought in a guy, Jose Urquidy, who I talked to today. You might know the name, pitched for the Astros when they were making runs to the World Series. He's had a bunch of arm injuries recently. He had a second Tommy John procedure, had a shoulder injury. Has only thrown 2 2/3 innings or 2 1/3 innings, something like that over the past 2 years. But he's actually healthy, threw 50 innings in winter ball in Mexico and the DR. And if he can stay healthy, man, the Pirates have one guy on their staff who's pitched meaningful World Series games, and it's Jose Urquidy. I mean, it's the only one on their staff that's pitched in the playoffs, I believe, or certainly the only starter. But he's looked good so far. He's really close with the new pitching coach, Bill Murphy, who came here from Houston. Urquidy told me Murphy was the first guy to reach out, call him and welcome him. So if he's healthy, he could be a guy, but that 5th spot is a little up in the air right now.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I think one of those things, Jason, you look at the names and you kind of know who they are and what they're capable of, but there's still a lot of questions, aren't they? I mean, they're young guys, and some of them aren't necessarily what I would call, seasoned veterans where you can really count on them doing those things. And so, I mean, what are your feelings about the fact that the pitching staff is supposed to be a strength of the team, but I still think it remains to be seen. What about you?
I mean, there's certainly questions. I think you could go to any pitching staff in baseball and there's still going to be questions. Can you stay healthy? Do you have enough guys? Maybe not any pitching staff in baseball. I'm sure we could go to some of the big market, big spending teams and they have fewer questions. But I mean, if you look at pure ability, what these guys have done, the numbers they've produced, yes, it's a somewhat small sample size, but look at some of the metrics on Braxton Ashcraft, for instance, how his pitches perform, the velocity on his fastball, the movement profiles of some of his breaking balls. That stuff's going to play. Good stuff is good stuff. I have some questions maybe about the longevity of the group, Paul. Braxton Ashcraft's been hurt a lot. Bubba Chandler hasn't pitched a ton up here. Some guys are going to be on innings limits. Mitch Keller has had questions about the second half of seasons, but it's not perfect anywhere. We're talking about talented guys with a lot of upside. I don't think anybody in their right mind is going to be questioning Paul Skeens. I think he's about as certain as they get. But, they've got talented pitchers here. They've got more in the minors. You mentioned Harrington. He's one they're waiting on to, develop a little bit more and come up here. He's not far away. Hunter Barco's another one. If they sign somebody, what happens with Urquidy, Carmen Majinski, if you want to go the starter route, he could be an option. So they've got guys, man. Like I certainly see a lot worse rotations than the Pirates have right now. That's for sure.
Well, the elephant in the room sort of has been, kind of the way that everything has gone down with Andrew McCutchen. Obviously, probably didn't end the way that he wanted it to, didn't probably end the way the Pirates wanted it to. Is this one of those things where, it's going to be years before McCutchen comes back and, all that other stuff? Is this a rift that's going to happen between him and the Pirates organization, or will this be a very quick, very quick quarrel type thing that will go away pretty quickly?
Man, I hope not. And I don't think it's in a good place right now. I'll tell you that much. Anybody you talk to about Kutch, and I was doing it again today, said what have you heard about Kutch? How's he doing? And one of the responses was, I think he's kind of hurt. He's kind of hacked off. And I think the Pirates, they understand that. And I think it's a relationship they're going to have to work on. Paul, let me say this before I get to the future of Kutch. I don't think either side's wrong here. If I'm Andrew, I understand where he's coming from, all he's done for this team, how important he is in the city. He thought he had a spot, and a lot of guys in similar positions, they think they have spots too. Even Bob Nutting a couple years ago said that Andrew told me that Andrew should retire a Pirate or whatever. I don't blame the Pirates either. They haven't been good enough offensively. They need to score more runs. They need to upgrade spots. If you look at the numbers with Andrew McCutchen at designated hitter, he's the worst DH in the National League, production-wise. They're not wrong for wanting more than that. So it's just an unfortunate situation where I can understand where both sides are coming from. It's just when you add it all up, it adds up to having to do this with one of your most popular players in the past couple of decades. Here's what I think happens, though. If Andrew goes and plays somewhere, and I hope he does, if that's what he wants, and I hope he's happy, and I hope he goes and ends his career the way he wants to. But I do think he winds up, in good standing with the organization. I think they're going to do everything they can to honor him. I think he understands. He understands how much people love him here, and I don't think he wants to let that go. So even if he goes somewhere and things are awkward for a little bit, I think it will ultimately get back to a place where Andrew can be celebrated and can be a part of the Pirates organization long term.
Yeah, that's actually. Well, here's my question: is there any chance he plays somewhere else? Yeah,
I think there's a very good chance, Paul. The people close to Kutch that I talked to have maintained that he has offers to play elsewhere. If you have offers, go take them, right? I don't understand why you wouldn't take the offers if you have them, but I'm also sympathetic to, if I'm Andrew McCutchen, you have to decide, hey, is this worth uprooting my family? He's got a wife and 5 kids in Pittsburgh. Is it worth it to chase being a part-time DH with the Chicago White Sox? Or do you just want to say the heck with it? I'm going to stay in Pittsburgh. They'll give me a job for the rest of my life. I'll be Andrew could say, okay, I'm retired. I want to be with the Pirates. I want to do this right. Let's celebrate me. I want to do something for the organization. And they would do it at the drop of a hat. They would do whatever he wanted. He could have all kinds of post-playing opportunities in baseball. So, those are big decisions, man. I never played professional baseball. I'm not going to try to act like that's a simple thing to figure out. So I think, he's just kind of taking his time and figuring out what he wants to do. But, I think he has some options. They're probably just not the greatest options.
Right. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. The last one I have for you, we really didn't even talk much about the bullpen. And I know, they've had some moving parts at the bullpen. What is the back end going to look like? And do you feel good about the bullpen?
Paul, the bullpen, since I've been down here, I got down here Monday. My opinion has changed in a very good way about the bullpen, man. And that some of that happened today. I was watching Justin Lawrence throw. And Justin Lawrence is probably a name that a lot of Pirates fans have no idea who this guy is. They picked him up off waivers from the Colorado Rockies last year. He was hurt with an elbow injury for 4 months. When he pitched, though, he was outstanding. I think he had an 0.51 ERA. He throws a pitch, it's a sweeper. It's like an exaggerated slider. It's like a Frisbee, man. And I was watching this thing up close. He's really working on his sinker, has a very good four-seamer. So, he's one of several arms in the back end that I think can be very good. Dennis Santana's a sure thing back there. So is Gregory Soto, Isaac Mattson as well. Carmen Majinski's going to be in the bullpen in some form or fashion. Justin Lawrence is a fifth guy I feel pretty strongly about. Another one who's really changed my perception recently is Mason Montgomery. He's a left-hander. He's someone they picked up in that Brandon Lau trade. Throws 100. Throws 101. Like, his problem is not being able to control his stuff.
Right.
If the Pirates can teach this kid some control, I got a text today from an agent who said, so-and-so, his client who's on the Pirates, said thinks he can be an absolute star for this team. Like, they love this kid based on his stuff. So we'll see, man. I watched him throw to O'Neal Cruz today, and he was certainly not out of his depth. And a lefty throwing 101 with a good breaking ball, you have my attention. So we'll see where it goes with Montgomery.
Right. Well, Jason, I appreciate it. I know you're busy. When do actual games begin down there?
I think the 21st, Paul. Not this Saturday, but the next one.
Okay. All right. Well, continue to chronicle it all, and we'll see how it all turns out. But thanks, my man. We'll do it again soon.
All right, Paul. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.
All right. Jason Mackey, the beat reporter for the Pirates. That's pretty much all you really needed to know. If you really wanted to know about the Pirates, we broke it down. We'll continue doing it again tomorrow. It is Paul Zeise. It is The Big Show. We'll see you.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.